there's a bigger issue here. Just because a group of people belong to the Federation, it does not mean that they are saints. The trouble is Earth. On Earth, there is no poverty, no crime, no war. You look out the window of Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. Well, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. Out there, all the problems haven't been solved yet. Out there are no saints, just people. Angry, scared, determined people who are going to do whatever it takes to survive.
What I want to know is, out of all the stories you told me, which ones were true and which ones weren't?
My dear doctor, they're all true.
Even the lies?
Especially the lies.
On behalf of the Bajoran government
And the Promenade Merchants Association,
I officially welcome you to Deep Space Nine.
Welcome back, everybody, to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. Thank you for joining us here this evening as we discuss the next episode of The Alternate. I am Blake, and with me tonight is...
Chris.
Emily.
Mike.
Nicole.
And Christopher.
For those who are joining us for the first time, we are a group of individuals who have watched Deep Space Nine many, many times. As we have talked about on this show and also our previous one, Grey 17, when we went through Babylon 5, we are some sci-fi fans that have watched these shows several times. And we yet again managed to convince some of our friends to watch a 30-year-old TV show for the first time and not want to kill us. So we are doing this journey through Deep Space Nine. You would think after 5 seasons of Babylon 5, we would have learned our lesson, but here we are, and here we go again. So for tonight's synopsis, I am told Christopher has some thoughts and some feels, so let's hear his synopsis.
Odo's estranged father returns and makes a snide comment about his appearance, his social skills, causing Odo to literally melt down. Only after attempted patricide does he apologize for his behavior and make amends with Odo.
So what you're saying is this episode is daddy issues.
Daddy issues, yes.
That was good, Christopher. That was real good.
Yet again, we have a synopsis where we can just do that and cut, done, we're out of here. Well done.
Great show, guys.
Daddy issues.
Great use of the word patricide.
Right? I mean, sometimes they pull out a thesaurus.
Save that one for Scrabble.
I'm just wondering, with this series of episodes, with everything we have all had going on the last few months, we get the first one with the scientist who yeets himself. We get the one that deals with refugees. We get the one with the gambler, the womanizing gambler. And now we get this one with daddy issues. One would think we've just kind of hit a run where this is just an interesting scenario for this whole group of individuals. So let's go ahead and get the first impressions from our newbies this time. And let's start with Nicole.
Well, a shocker. I didn't really care for this one.
What the hell? You're not being our ray of sunshine.
I know. Okay, here's the thing. I did love all the Odo content because I love Odo. I did love some of the things like Dr. Mora saying that Constable is an expression of affection he finds difficult to accept. I did laugh at that one, even though I thought Dr. Mora was kind of a snide shitface and I didn't really care for him. I didn't really like that he turned into the hot mess Hulk, like ready to kill everyone, choking out Bashir, ready to kill this doctor. It made me sad because Odo is not like that. And the part where him and Mora were arguing and Odo's like, I don't break the rules, I don't do anything, like it kind of like hurt my feelings because he was visibly upset, and that really bothered me because Odo doesn't always express feelings, and Odo doesn't necessarily, I don't want to say he doesn't have feelings and affections and stuff, but like I feel like this was the most vulnerable we've ever seen him, even more so than when like the lady was like putting him in her dress or whatever. So I feel like for me that was kind of hard to see because like Odo's head of security. He's like this strong pillar of rightness and doing all the good. And he's basically hot mess Hulk melting into a puddle trying to kill everyone. And then they go to this creepy ass planet that has an earthquake and gases everybody. It was just, I don't know, man. This was a little, I don't want to say too sci-fi for me, but it wasn't my cup of tea.
For those that are equally confused, Nicole is usually our one that loves it all. Everything is great. The rest of us just miss the mark. And so the fact that we're a few episodes in and she's not liked any of it, I don't know what's going on here. This is new. Chris, how about your first impressions?
Well, my first impression right now is with Nicole, what's going on? You're just not rocking with DS9 the last few episodes. That's new. My first, so yeah, I didn't love it, but I also didn't hate it. Everybody knows Odo's my guy. Like that's been my dog since day one. I wanted more Odo action and scene time, and I got it with this episode. So that's what really had me happy. There was elements of Alien kind of in this with the mysterious entity roaming the space station and nobody knows what it is or where it's going and what it's going to do. And you had O'Brien crawling through the ducts like at any second he was going to see xenomorph pop up at the end of the tunnel and come chase him down. Like there were kind of some of those elements which I thought was cool. I guess Nicole, maybe that's like the really more out there sci-fi kind of feel maybe that you were getting to. I think my main takeaway was when Odo's off that gas, just get out of his way. He was he got high off that volcanic gas and became an absolute terror. He was chaotic, so I thought that was wild. But overall, yeah, it was just kind of all right. I mean, it was cool, but like it didn't leave any lasting impressions or anything like that. I was just really happy that I got to see more Odo screen time.
Christopher, anything you want to share more about daddy issues?
Well, not on this podcast. No, I enjoyed the father-son dynamic that was explored in this episode with Odo and Dr. Mora, and also with Jake and Cisco in that early scene with them and talking about Klingon opera and like the uses of it. I thought that was heartwarming, and that Prentice talks about it often, that is one of his favorite parts of the show, and it is becoming one of my favorite parts as well. I also enjoyed the growth and the realization that Dr. Mora had, that Odo like isn't like a kid anymore. He's grown up, he's changed, he's experienced life, and that he doesn't need him, and he's allowed to go out on his own and get a job that seemingly he doesn't approve of, right? You know, that kind of natural father-son dynamic that they have. You have the dad who thinks that the job's kind of beneath him, that he should be working with him, and that he can't accept that he's grown into his own person until he, like I said, literally lashes out and tries to kill him, right? And to have that, I thought this was a good episode, and I really enjoyed it.
And now let's check in with those who have watched this series probably more times than we can remember. Mike.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I'm a little bit lukewarm on this episode too, and I don't know that it's necessarily that there's any real fault, because I do agree with a lot of what you guys already said. Like, I think there's a lot of good character moments in this. I was laughing my butt off at O'Brien crawling through the duct saying, like, don't tell my wife I did this, that kind of thing, and how he was going to lie to her when he got home. And then getting a little bit more insight into Odo's background. It's something that have said all along, I think, that I've wanted to see more of. I feel like in the end, I'm more of a space mystery guy, and so like we got not so much a space mystery about where Odo came from and what he is and that kind of stuff. We got teased with it, but there was no payoff. Just like the last time we got teased with it and there was no payoff. So maybe that's where my disappointment comes from a little bit, but the rest of it was good. All the dynamic between Odo and his sort of pseudo father figure, and how Odo is demonstrating to him that he has grown as a pile of goo, and that the Doctor himself kind of goes through growth throughout the episode, as Chris pointed out, even though I did have a slightly different read on maybe where the Doctor was initially coming from. He was still a jerk, but I didn't think it was so much that he disapproved of Odo's job. I felt like it was more that he was just being selfish and saying, like, man, what you're doing is an awful lot like science, which you could come do with me, because he wanted to do more science. He wanted his son back in the lab and it wasn't immediately clear until later in the episode. There was a father-son thing sort of feeling between them versus more of a scientist and science project is what I went into the episode expecting. So overall, I mean, it is a solid episode. It's not necessarily the most exciting, even with the allusions to aliens, which I didn't really pick up on until Chris said it, but it's definitely there. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like for me, it's like a 6 or 7 out of 10.
Emily.
It's not one of my favorites, and part of what bothers me about it is in season 1, we had The Passenger where Bashir got taken over by the criminal, so like they were chasing around a member of the team and didn't realize it. And we have a similar pattern here, just like a different instigator. So that kind of feels like a rehash in some ways.
Yes, but this was done better, at least.
Yeah, a little bit. They kind of didn't explain it well. Like, oh, weird reaction, and then force field and whatever. I felt like that was a little disappointing from someone who expects more. But yeah, the dynamic with Odo and the doctor was frustrating to watch because he was just so condescending. And like when they were in the shuttle pod to go on their little expedition thing, and Dax was like, "Oh, tell me about it." So Odo starts talking, and then his dad, shall we call him that, starts talking over him. Like, you can't even let this guy, like, let him finish a sentence. And in a way, it felt like he was still treating him like a science experiment and not an actual individual being that's grown and experienced more in life. So it's not a bad episode. I do like that we understand more about Odo, and I think it explains why he's so reserved and hesitant around people, because like his first experience with humanoids wasn't great and hasn't exactly been that great since then. But yeah, not my favorite, just because I get annoyed by condescending men.
It's funny you mentioned The Passenger, because I actually told Scott after I backed away from the show early on in season 1 that he had no idea how happy it made me that I would not have to watch that goddamn episode. I hate The Passenger. That is probably one of, if not my least favorite episode of all of DS9, is The Passenger. And the fact that it's followed by Move Along Home, I was so happy I did not have to watch those 2 episodes back to back and try to engage in a discussion with those.
Ella Moraine!
Which, funny enough, is almost what we called this show, but there's another show called that. Somebody beat us to it.
Yeah, season 1 is got some cringe in it for sure. So
yeah, if we just could have skipped 1 and started in with the Siege, the Circle, that whole start of season 2, I would have been happy. But for this episode, I actually do like this one, and one of the things that I do like about this is not even really related to the main plot, but when we look back at Babylon 5, we had Andreas Katsoulis and Peter Jerusik, who could just steal a scene anytime the 2 of them were together in a scene. And for me in DS9, that has always been when you've got Renee Auberjonois and Armin Shimmerman as Odo and Quark in a scene going at each other. Those 2, their interactions, it's not even the words they use, it's their mannerisms, the looks they can give each other. Those 2 in a scene I love. So I love that whole opening where Quark is trying to sell the remains of the Ferengi, and Odo's in there going, "Really? You have Plague? Plague's surprised you have him." And just that whole scene, I love that part. So with the interaction of those 2, but as far as an Odo story goes, with some of his backstory and getting a little bit more insight into Odo, I actually think this is a decent episode. I do like this one. It's one that I usually will hit back on a rewatch as I go through. And I get what you're saying, Emily, with the kind of similar to The Passenger, but that was with the separate personality. I think this was the more internalized what Odo had built up and what the effects were, and that realization from Dr. Moira that he's after me. I'm the problem here. He's attacking anywhere I am. And going through that revelation of the series, I just like how they did. So let's go ahead and move into our discussion. Nicole, how about you kick us off today?
So just 2 points before I dive in. One, I agree with you about the Quark and Odo dynamic. Also, one of the best parts. They really are great scene partners and have great chemistry. Also, I want to point out Christopher brought up the Jake Cisco thing at the beginning, which I also loved. I love their dynamic, but boy, did we get a creepy smile from Cisco in that whole scene. I don't know if anyone else noticed it, but it was real creepy. So, but what I wanted to say was, I don't know if it was just me, but did anyone else think that Dr. Mora was kind of manipulative? Because I really thought when he was having that discussion with Odo, and Odo was like starting to melt and like kind of fall apart. He's like, they're gonna put you in a zoo. You can't trust them. You can only trust me. And he was like manipulating Odo, trying to get his way to get Odo to succumb to come with him and go wherever he was going, go back to the lab or whatever. And I really was like, you son of a bitch, you're trying to manipulate him in his most vulnerable state. And then when he went up to the bridge to talk to Cisco and all them, I was like, oh, hell no. He better not go up in there and being like, you better let me take him and like trying to manipulate them. But I also thought there's no way that they are going to let Odo go with this fucking dude because they love Odo. Like they care about him. So I at least knew that like, and even Odo said, you don't know them like I do. Like they're a dysfunctional family just like we are. So I feel like Dr. Mora's manipulation that he was trying was just going to backfire on him anyway. Even if he did go up there and try to talk shit to them and whatever, I don't think anyone would have fell for it. But it really pissed me off. And I thought he was being so manipulative in that moment. And like, just Odo's worst fear is he doesn't want to be a party trick anymore because the Cardassians, sorry, equally as evil. They made him do party tricks and do all this stuff, right? That's like his worst fear. And this guy fucking knows that. He knows that Odo doesn't want to be a sideshow act or whatever. So for him to say that, it pissed me off. And I was like, man, I hope you choke this motherfucker out. Like I was mad.
Mike.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that scene up in particular, Nicole, because I have to agree with you. Throughout the whole episode, maybe part of what rubs me the wrong way about this episode isn't that the episode is bad. It's that it reminds me of so many maybe all too realistic things. Like the scene in the shuttlecraft or the runabout where he keeps talking over Odo to Dax reminds me so much of how things go sometimes with my own family and my own father that it was painful to watch. It was really like uncomfortable. And so back to what you were saying though, as far as that particular scene when Dr. Mora starts laying on the fear tactics with Odo, that was the one part of Dr. Mora's kind of character journey where if I look back on the episode as a whole, I'm like, I feel like maybe they went a little too far in trying to make him come off as evil versus just condescending or unfeeling. That was the one thing where he like really kind of went a little bit despicable, but then immediately dropped it. Like he went into Cisco's office and it like kind of turned around and went a different direction completely from where I thought it was going to go. And so I do have a little bit of trouble rectifying that. I mean, I've definitely had experiences where like parents do freak out sometimes, right? I think we've probably all had some experience where we've had a parent just absolutely flip out and lay some crazy shit on us because they were afraid something was going to happen that they manufactured in their own brain that wasn't. And so maybe that was a little bit of it, but it went a little far that time for sure.
Christopher.
You know, Mike, you're talking about how they kind of went more evil than condescending. And I think it is about control, right? Dr. Mora he sees him kind of as an experiment. There is that kind of familial bond there, but he sees him as an experiment. He believes that he is the only one that can keep him safe. He's the only one that can really protect him. It's almost kind of like it gets into that overbearing, overprotective parent who may go a little too far. So I think that boundary being pushed, and then for him to go there and come to the realization, hey, let me talk to him. I can help him. I can get him to figure this out and not have him come back with me, but I can talk him off the ledge. It's still I'm the only one who knows how to do this, right? I have to be the one. And I find him, they reconcile at the end, but I really don't like this man, right? He borderline seems like abusive to me, like emotionally abusive to him. And that's the vibe I was catching during that scene when they're going to put you in a zoo and all that. It might not be what they were going for, but it kind of had those vibes for me.
Chris?
Yeah, I was going to say, Mike, I agree with you. I think there were certainly elements to this episode that hit close to home. I think we all probably saw at least one moment in there that we could identify with. I know for me, my dad, rest in peace, he was Nigerian, came over to the States when he was, I think, 17. So he was raised over in Nigeria, and that's how that experience is what he turned to when he was raising us, right? Me and my siblings. And that upbringing is completely different than how all the rest of the kids that I knew were being raised. They're very similar to East Indian or even maybe East Asian, cultures where they have a very definitive idea of who you are and who you are going to become and what you're going to do when you grow up, right? Doctor, lawyer, doctor, lawyer, doctor, lawyer. Well, now engineer. You can throw engineer in the mix too, right? Like that's what it is. And if you're not one of those things, you're seen as a failure. And so for me, growing up and basketball being my dream, right? And playing basketball all the way through college, it was always that struggle of, yeah, but you're not Michael Jordan, so doctor or lawyer, right? And it's like, come on, man. Like, I'm in college playing ball, like that's nothing. Nah, doctor or lawyer. And I kind of got that vibe from Dr. Mora and Odo's a very respectable person on the space station, constable or head of security, whatever title you want to give him, but he has his own family there. He might not be the extrovert social person, but he is an ingrained member of not just the crew, but also the space station, how it functions. And, he's an integral part of the social aspect of it as well, making sure everything stays on the up and up and people can live there comfortably and have fun. But Dr. Mora didn't see any of that. That was all just, you're not in the lab with me. You're not doing what I think you should be doing. Therefore, it's a failure. And I think even the moments where he was pleasantly surprised or shocked at how well Odo was doing or how far Odo had become socially or professionally or whatever, I think even those were kind of like backhanded compliments, almost slaps in the face. Like, oh, I'm literally shocked that you were able to integrate into the space station with these people. Like that, it just kind of gave me that vibe, that feeling almost a little bit. But long story long, Mike, I agree with you. I think there were aspects of that relationship and that part of the story that we all got hit with at one point or the other.
Well, and I want to jump on something you said there because this thought occurs to me maybe I just need to go back and watch the episode again and analyze it a little bit more thoroughly. But like what I kind of feel is going on when I'm hearing y'all's reaction is what I kind of thought about myself. Like I feel like going into this episode and how they very quickly kind of set it up and what little bit we know about Odo's background already, I feel like what I was trying to do was view the episode and Dr. Mora's interactions with Odo through the lens of what I expected Dr. Mike. That I expected him to be more awful than he actually was. And so I feel like in retrospect, like I've been thinking about the episode since and like what I'm going to say about it today. Believe it or not, I do put a little bit of thought into what I'm going to say before I hop on here. And I feel like where I'm at now is I'm like, he really wasn't that bad. Like a lot of his stuff, besides that one scene that kind of bugs me, I feel like it mostly makes sense in some context or another, and he's not like a bad man. And the thing I'll add to that comment is we're not exactly sure how long Dr. Mora and Odo have not been in any contact with one another, but they definitely made a point of, at the end of the episode, of saying, like, Odo cut that man out of his life when he took off on his own. And so it's been, at the very least, years. So it's like, imagine, like, you're 10 years old and you leave home, and then, like, you catch up with your pa, like, in your 30s or something. So now your dad's coming in and seeing you in an entirely new light where he is completely unaware of how you have grown and evolved as a person and how you have become your own person with your own life and adopted family around you and that kind of thing. So I'm sure some of what came off as backhanded made sense to me in a different way. It made sense to me in the like, nah, dude is straight up shocked. Like, this is like completely out of left field for where he last saw Odie last. So again, I didn't view him throughout the entire episode, minus that one part, as being like an evil guy. I just kind of saw him as an overbearing parent with a lot of expectations. Because what you just said about your background, like, totally Dr. Moore reminded me of that stereotype that we frequently see play out in television, right, in movies, of like the foreign parent that has all kinds of expectations and lays it on their kid. And now Disney makes movies about that, right? Like, the villain in old Disney movies was like an evil sorceress. The villain in modern Disney movies is like familial pressure. So that's where I see it.
Some of us have that in our living rooms on a daily basis. Emily, it's a different podcast.
Yeah, that's the We Need Therapy podcast. I was actually going to bring up Mike's point, and you can correct me if I'm remembering the scene wrong, but like when he comes to the station, he seems surprised that Odo is head of security, which that feels wrong to me. How would you, even if you haven't been in contact, Odo being the only one of his kind and being the head of security at that particular location seems like it would be something that would come up maybe at least once in a while. So I was trying to figure out if Dr. Mora is that removed just from maybe social things.
Yeah, like maybe Dr. Mora, like Odo wasn't writing letters back home to Dr. Mora, but like how did Dr. Mora become so oblivious to what happened to Odo? Yeah.
How did this shape-shifting being that you were given basically to experiment on become head of security? And he was there during the Cardassian occupation. So it's not like this is a new job for him, which also makes me wonder how many years has it actually been? Because that seems like a pretty long time. Because it's not like Odo just showed up on the job. He's been there for years at this point. And yet it really did feel like he was falling back into that old dynamic of when he was still like running experiments on Odo and trying to figure out what he is and what he could do and not trying to truly readjust. But one of my favorite Odo quotes is when I believe it was Dr. Mora was talking to him about integrating, and Odo just says, "I integrate as much as I want to." And I was just like, oh, I feel that.
Me too,
I feel
Odo.
that so much.
Yep.
It's like, same, Odo, same. You are not alone, dude.
That is office life in a nutshell. Am I right, Chris?
Yeah.
Both Chris's.
Yeah.
Anyone who has worked in an office felt that deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher.
I want to give credit where credit is due to Dr. Mora. His reaction at first, I did see as condescending, but liking it to a father who hasn't been estranged from his son for a while and hasn't been able to see that growth. But at the end, he was able to accept the growth and the change and to accept Odo for who he is now and not who he was. And God, if parents could just do that everywhere, that would be wonderful.
There'd be a lot less need for therapy.
It was a really sweet moment, I thought, like when he kind of accepted, like, man, you really did grow up and make your life for yourself and you really don't need me anymore. That's like the hardest thing for a parent to accept, so I'm told. I'll never accept it, but
But Mike, you were right. I think the way that they the arc for Dr. Moore was kind of sharp. It was like he was kind of at his peak of his worst, and then all of a sudden he's complete 180, and he's, oh my God, I'm responsible for this. I did this, and we got to make it right. And maybe that was kind of what caused people to feel all over the place about Dr. Mora. Is that, like you were right? It was like he was here, then he was here, and now he's here. Almost like he kind of turned around too quickly. Again, I know they only have so much time in an episode, so you gotta round it out however you can. But yeah, I think for me, for Odo, I want to know more. But I'm not, I guess maybe this is more for the question aspect at the end. Is like, it just feels like they're just never going to let me know. I kind of feel like they just keep teasing me. They're like, yeah, we're going to tell you more about Odo this episode. And then you're like, I didn't learn anything.
Yeah.
I don't know anything more than what I knew when we first started the episode. Like when they were talking about, yeah, we're going to go back to, we think we found your home planet. And he gets all, like, oh my God. And then they go on the runabout, and then they get, first of all, they get there. This is a scene that kind of just was like, maybe say, what the hell? They get to the planet. They see this ancient monument, which seems to be at the center of a very important place on the planet. And their first thought is, yeah, let's go ahead and beam this up.
Yeah, let's just transport it. Let's just steal it.
And none of them had a British accent.
In the museum.
I was going to say, the British Empire did the same thing.
Right. Well, it gave me very strong, since seeing how next Monday is Columbus Day, it gave me very Spanish conquistador vibes.
Yes.
It's like, we're going to show up, we're just going to take this shit, we're going to analyze it, and we're not even going to worry about its significance, what it's doing here, anything like that. So when they all got gassed and caused the earthquake, I was like, that's what you get.
Yeah.
That's what you get from going to a planet and start just taking shit, and you don't know what's going on or whatever. So
it felt very irresponsible.
Right. And it was Dax of all people. It wasn't
Right.
like, some random who was like, yeah, I think we should go ahead and just beam this up. It was like one of the most intelligent officers that they got on the station. So
He's just
anyways.
like, I like that. I'm going to steal that.
She's been around for several different lifetimes. Maybe she hasn't caught on that you're not just supposed to colonize and steal from planets anymore. That you have to ask permission.
It was Curzon coming through, like, yeah, just fucking take it.
Holy cow. So you're saying Dax
Just
is like
beam
a
it
super
up.
boomer?
Wow.
I was loving her though in this episode, to be honest. I really was.
Well, what happened when she was in the lab, and then they went to go visit her in the lab, and was it Odo or was it Dr. Mora? I think it was Odo that said, wasn't the object here? And she's like, yeah, I moved it. It was getting in my way. What was that about?
I don't know. I thought the same thing. I
caught that too.
Were they about to hint at how there were like two of them in the office one day, and then like, no, just nothing.
Yeah.
Just
It felt
a
like
quick
there was
just a
something-
quick hint that Dax is super strong.
Well, and then speaking of Dax, another thing that I wrote down was Bashir was being creepy to her again, right?
Oh yeah, he asked her out.
Yeah, he asks her out for like a cup of tea, and she's like, sure, let's go to the promenade. And he was like, oh, but I was thinking your place or mine. And she's like, no, and walks away. And he looks and he says, one of these days I'm going to stop chasing her. Then she'll see.
Yeah. Well, actually, she asked him out. Now I'm remembering correctly, and he said my place or yours, and she said promenade.
Yeah. But
He's the king of wishful thinking, man. I don't know what to tell you.
You gotta speak it. You gotta put it out into the universe.
Yeah.
Wait,
manifest
it was still just really creepy on his behalf, and it just.
It reminded me of Wayne's World when he was like, "Oh yes, it will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine."
All right. Shift gears for a minute. How badass is Bashir? Kicked Odo's ass, didn't he?
Cut his arm off, didn't he?
He had that thing on him. He had that laser, that surgical
his
laser
arm or
on
leg
him.
or tentacle or whatever it was.
Yeah, the tentacle.
Oh man, yeah. No, I thought I caught that too. That was really creepy by Bashir. And he was my replicator or yours. It's like, really? The creepy space station game, my replicator or yours? I'm gonna hit my wife with that. I'm gonna be like, so.
Also, like, talk about a shitty pickup line. If a guy said that to me, I'd be like, no.
I'm just thinking they clearly don't have an HR department on this station.
Right.
As a former union rep, I'm pretty sure a comment like that's going to land your ass in HR answering some questions.
Well, given Cisco's behavior in the two
Previous
episodes
one?
ago.
Yeah.
Look,
Cisco wasn't with the subordinate. That had nothing to do with his own
quasi-military
staff.
organization.
Yeah.
Kira should be taking care of this, right? This
Yeah.
should be going to the
That's
XO. Kira should be taking care of this.
Oh,
And like,
Kira could take care of it. She'd kick Bashir's ass.
But then again,
I want to
you
see
have to
that
admit,
scene. That's the scene I want to see.
Dax
Oh,
does
he'd
sort
like
of have
it.
the attitude, though, here of harassment will not be tolerated. It will be graded, though, because it's not exactly like she's discouraging him ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Dax was a freak. She was all on the morn. I mean, She thought his one hair was cute. Remember?
Oh God.
Nicole, save us.
So another thought I had, Christopher brought this up about the creepy Bashir after. Oh, one day I'll stop chasing her. It also reminded me of my precious, like Gollum. Like he was sitting there like a little Gollum, rubbing his hands together with his precious. I was like, bro, she's never gonna do you if you act like Gollum. Sorry, bro.
I mean, this is like thousands of years in the future. Like none of us have a context for what is actually smooth in the year 30 whatever.
Okay,
I don't
but
care
we
what
have
year it
to
is.
know.
Like, hey baby, you want to
Yeah.
come check out some Klingon opera and eat some gah?
I don't care what year it is. I'm not fucking Gollum, okay? Let me just put it that way.
Okay, but Mike, speaking of Klingon opera, they've made this a couple of times. In three of the last 4 episodes, they have mentioned the arts, and just with everything that's going on, right? The arts, because Jake is like, why is this so important? Why do I need to know Klingon opera? Because it gives you context. It helps you learn about your culture, about other cultures. It helps you see things from a different perspective. The arts are so important, and I'm glad that they're giving them a platform and a discussion.
We need to clip this part of your explanation and share it out right now, don't we?
Yeah, because look with the things that's going on in the Kennedy Center right now. Like our freedoms of expression and speech are being taken away, and when we start accepting that only what the government tells us is good art, and we can't critique it, and we can't make our own. It's even shows like this.
It's not just the government. It's Kid Rock too. Let's not forget.
Shows like this where we're discussing a 30-year-old television show, but critiquing it and applying it to modern day.
Mm-hmm.
We take these freedoms for granted, but we really need to not.
On a serious note, I was going to say, I don't know how many of us on here have watched Star Trek The Next Generation, and a little bit off topic, but I'll throw it out there for those of us that haven't watched it. I actually feel like the Star Trek The Next Generation with Captain Picard and so on, they leaned pretty heavily into focusing on the fact that the different characters in that show all took an interest in the arts in some way, shape, or form. I mean, for Commander Riker, the art of the pickup line, but like
it was
like
chair
Captain Picard is like,
straddle.
I'm gonna go play poker, then I'm gonna go practice my piccolo. Like that's just what they did, and they talk about it to some extent about like in various episodes, like
because they had people
Data
doing
was writing poetry,
plays. I mean, the only thing I will say, though, in counter to that, and one of the reasons I truly like DS9 more than is, I get what you're saying about the inclusion of the arts, but at the same time, TNG felt like ocean liner in space a lot of times.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
The only thing they were missing was the shuffleboard and 10 forward. DS9, I think, is a lot more grounded in a reality-based approach, and for lack of a better way to put it, for a sci-fi show.
No, 100%. I just felt like it's good to share the context that like Starfleet in like society, I guess, kind of embraces the arts of the future.
Yeah.
And so it's not like out of place that they're talking about Klingon opera. They have a background for why.
And it's interesting that they focus on Klingon opera because they are like warriors. They're aggressive, they're frightening. People talk about not wanting to fight the Klingons because they are like a warrior people. And for them to have opera that is like so culturally important to them is also really interesting and kind of a dichotomy, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's a funny juxtaposition because like the Klingons being the quintessential warrior race of the Star Trek like franchise, they're also known for their opera, their food. They frequently talk about Klingon food, and their drink as well. So.
And their boobs. Don't forget their boobs.
Hell yeah.
The Klingon cleavage.
It's like
the Kira sisters do have some rather legendary.
Yes.
I was gonna say it's like Japanese culture, ancient Japanese culture, though.
Yeah.
They were known for being fierce warriors, but at the same time, they, especially for the samurai, very heavily focused on the arts, right? Painting, calligraphy. You had to master calligraphy before they would let you master Bushido or using a blade, right? Because they believed the two were directly connected. And, that's kind of what I got from that Klingon opera dichotomy. And Christopher, I agree with you 100%. I like the fact that they're shining a light on it. I just kind of wish they didn't then downplay it right away when Jake was like, well, Dad, when was the last time you listened to Klingon opera? And he was like, oh, well, when I took that test.
Well,
I think it would have been...
But I mean, that's always like, that's the easy joke for them to make in this. When are you going to use algebra? When are you going to use this? It's a way to move the conversation, but at least they're talking about it, talking about the importance of the arts. And as all of you have given examples of how they show it throughout the franchise, it's not just this show and the last few episodes. It is something that is integral in Star Trek.
Yeah. The idea that a post-need society will have more.
So one thing to bring up with the production on this one, and we've talked about other series. So in The Next Generation, you had Lieutenant Commander Data, who was played by Brent Spiner. And anytime they would show his creator, Noonien Soong, or for that matter, any of the Soong family members over the course of multiple franchises, it was always Brent Spiner. Whether it was the Noonien Soong ancestor in Enterprise, it was Brent Spiner. Noonien Soong in Next Generation, it was Brent Spiner. The predecessor to that in Star Trek Picard, the season we try to forget, which was number 2, it was Brent Spiner. Season 1 offshoots, Brent Spiner. So they had that. Then with Voyager, you had the Doctor, who was created by Louis Zimmerman, both played by Robert Picardo. So there was an actual idea for this one that Dr. Mora was gonna be Renee Auberjonois, was gonna play both roles. The reason they decided not to was because the Odo makeup is so involved. They could not, with the production timetable, get him in and out of the makeup fast enough to do both roles. So they ended up casting the role to someone else because of the amount of time that would do the makeup. And I think that could have been interesting to see that juxtaposition, to see him play both roles. But at the same time, I really liked that it wasn't.
I agree.
Yeah. And James Sloyan, I think is how you was the actor who played Dr. He did a really good job. He's a good actor. You said it's the makeup. I thought maybe it was that they couldn't find enough people stretch the hair back tight enough on 2 different people, because good Lord, did that distract me the entire episode. I had a headache just looking at that.
That is a hair piece, or hairstyle. That is when they stretch that back and pull it. I was trying to see, because it mentioned a comment here with Odo. Yeah, because they shot the episode in 7 days. That was their turnaround time on an episode. They calculated that if they were to use him in both parts, due to the amount of time it took him to get in and out of the makeup, they would have to have no less than a 14-day shoot for him to be able to do both roles. Because his was actually one of the most complicated prosthetics in the show for them to put on.
Yeah, but they never got the ears right, did he?
That's right. There's actually a behind-the-scenes story that when they got done with the show in general, he ripped the face mask off and threw it at the showrunner after it was over because he hated this prosthetic so much. Ira Stephen Bear actually has that mask mounted in a shadow box frame that he keeps in his living room.
That's funny. And
from where he ripped it off and threw it at him.
That's an interesting piece of art to be showing on your
be
wall.
showing, right?
Very Hannibal Lecter-ish.
Yeah, very, very Buffalo Bill.
Yeah, just a little.
At least he's not wearing it. He's just displaying it.
Just display it. Yeah, if he was wearing it, or it was out where you could put it on, that would definitely...
It's giving Lincoln Death Mask.
It's funny. You never know. A wild night at that house might end up with the...
And another, just to kind of point out some of these little pieces to be on the lookout for. You mentioned the episode back, The Forsaken, where it was Odo and Laxwana Troy, and the two interacted. And there was a comment that Odo made in that episode that he modeled his hairstyle after his mentor. So they are dropping these little nuggets throughout, and you see that kind of play out here. And Mike, you mentioned how many people does it take to pull that much hair back? And I'm pretty sure they did it with tape, glue, and probably a winch system. But they've got both of those, and that kind of makes it in here.
They did the Gorilla Glue hairstyle before that woman did
Oh my
before
God.
she used it on her own hair.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I wish I didn't.
All right.
Oh,
Anything
man.
else for this episode?
Christopher, you pointed out the fucking line about, oh, you still haven't got the ears right, or that was another one of the uncomfortable parent moments. It's like your mom showing up and being like, oh, that's a nice shirt. You must have got it on sale, huh? Like,
Oh, you must have forgot to iron it.
Yes. Oh, God, those parental comments.
Beautiful house. I don't know how do you have time to clean it? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, did that shirt fit you when you bought it?
yeah. Is your maid on vacation right now?
We're going to need to start a second podcast.
Like I said, it's the We Need Therapy podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patreon.
Just this first run of episodes that we have had coming back, where all of the topics that were being dealt with and given our lives, given our interactions, given the world as we know it at the moment, this has been a very interesting landing back into Deep Space Nine, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So
it feels good to be back, though. Sorry.
It is. And as we're recording this one, this is actually this morning, our first episode back dropped.
Nice.
So we're actually recording this on October 8th. And this morning, our first episode back, second sight, premiered across all the platforms. I would like to say, hey, I didn't fuck it up. Everything got posted right. It posted where it was supposed to, how it was supposed to, at the time it was supposed to. So I'll be damned. I know what I'm doing.
Yay, us.
Yay, us. So we've got that out there, and listening to the responses we received back from listeners who were saying they were glad to hear us back, a few people saying they missed the unhinged nature of us. It was kind of nice seeing those comments as we came back into this and having the support as we started this back up. We've had a lot of conversation in our Discord server with people talking about the episode. Apparently, we caused quite the tangent on filler episodes.
And this one isn't it, so, you know.
Yeah, the hairstyle
Anybody
thing
that has
was...
thoughts on filler episodes, we have a whole discussion on that going. And if you want to join our Discord server, we do have the link down below. You can sign up for our Patreon account. That will get you access to the Discord server and the various conversations that we have there. Emily has her very own smut corner there. Mike, you've got a music page going there with some questionable music choices.
Not questionable.
So
great.
So you can go there, listen to some music, find out about some smut, and talk Deep Space Nine and filler episodes. So make sure to check those out. We also have a new Twitter account for the show. We're going to repurpose an old one. Scott and I had a Star Trek show early on where we were talking about Star Trek Picard as it came out with the episodes. We were doing Discovery at one point, and that was exploring Star Trek. And we actually have that Twitter account still. And I can still access that Twitter account. I actually have the passwords and stuff for that one. And I got to be honest, I have tried every password I can think of. I have tried every email I can think of. I don't know what in the hell he had the exploring or especially the Lies Twitter account under. Because it's not under the podcast email. It's not under the Gray 17 email. It's not under his personal email. I tried that today. I have no damn clue what he set that goddamn Twitter account up under. So I have given up on any hopes of getting that back. So we're just going to repurpose the Exploring Star Trek Twitter, and that's going to become the Especially the Lies Twitter. So check out down below for our new Twitter account. You can access that as well. So let's go ahead and get any questions and predictions that our newbies might have at this point. And let's go ahead and start with Christopher.
So one thing we didn't talk about was when Dr. Mora was asking about if there were any open cases, any unsolved mysteries on the station. So I want to know what open cases, what has Odo done? Why doesn't Commander Sisko seem more concerned that there are unsolved mysteries on the station? And also, what is written on that key? And what is its significance? Because I have a feeling that they wouldn't loot a planet for there not to be a payoff in the future.
And Chris, how about you? Any questions or predictions?
Are we ever going to actually find out where Odo's from and his whole background and species, history, and all that kind of stuff? Like, again, I felt like we were just teased again. Here it is. No, it's not. On that front. And then, yeah, to Christopher's point, what was that obelisk, whatever it was that they found on the planet? It got very Stargate-ish energy is kind of what it gave me. Like it's you got to decipher the codes, and if you do, it'll open up some portal, maybe to Odo's homeworld. I don't know. But along with Christopher, I want to know what that is because it felt a little bit significant. Well, more significant, just a passing prop. So if that comes back up or plays a role in a future episode.
What's funny is my show that I have on in the background during the day right now is SG1. That's kind of my background show that I just have on while I'm working.
Yeah.
You mentioned the props. So another thing I was watching on YouTube the other day was talking about props that keep showing up places, and they were showing the torpedo room set, specifically the hatch from Star Trek II. And where that thing has shown up in MacGyver, it has shown up in like all of these different shows and movies because they have just raided the prop room, and that whole thing has just so many times been put different places.
Yeah.
Nicole, questions and predictions.
I actually had kind of a technical show question. When they went to that creepy planet in the Gamma Quadrant and they had like the mountains in the background and all that, it kind of looked like the same set as when Kira went to Bajor and had that creepy sex dream about the guy. It kind of looked so like, did they reuse that set or do they reuse the sets for other areas? I guess this is kind of a technical question, I assume.
Weirdly enough, it looks just like the scenery right outside the studio at Paramount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that looks an awful lot like the studio outside the studio. With a lot of these areas, they did reuse certain areas. They actually, throughout most of Star Trek's run, they had a set on one of the sound stages that was called Planet Hell because it literally was what they reset to be different the surface of different alien worlds.
Oh.
And it was everything from swamps to deserts to all these different sets. And when you've heard the casts from the various shows talk about this, one of the reasons they called it Planet Hell is they had stray cats on the Paramount studio lot. And the cats found their way into this set. And if you're a cat and you walk into a giant soundstage that has a whole bunch of sand and gravel,
you're going to poop and pee.
You have found your litter box.
Yeah.
So apparently Planet Hell was rather like hell when it came to the amount of things left behind by the cats.
That's funny. Okay.
So they probably enjoyed going outside to the California hills and filming.
Yeah.
They could do this.
That makes sense. Okay.
And, I was gonna say there's that scene where they rescued the prisoner from the Cardassian camp. That was very clearly like the same rock quarry that they went and filmed like a bunch of Power Rangers at.
That's funny.
Well, and it's funny. So TNG had the set that was actually the Power Rangers base was the Borg base for Q.
I remember that.
Exact same set. Star Trek Generations, funny enough, when they were filming the mountain scenes with Picard, Kirk, and Soren in Star Trek Generations, there was a version of that before they realized it, and it's been digitally altered out, but you could actually see the signage and stuff for Las Vegas in the background because they were in the mountains outside of Vegas.
That's funny. Yeah, I guess my only other question too would be with what the other gentleman said about the pillar. Like, are we going to find out what the hell that is? Because I mean, they literally stole this pillar from this planet, and then the only thing we saw that happened with it was that Dax moved it. It's like, okay, well, what the hell is it? Is it going to cause an issue? Is it some weird portal? Does it have life beings inside of it? They're going to come and try to kill other people? I don't know. So that I definitely want to know what that is. But other than that, I don't have any other questions or predictions.
It's in the V&A Museum in London.
Is it for real?
No.
Oh.
Well, every time
so
somebody
gullible.
walked by it, every time someone walked by it, they were like staring at it and like awe of it, and they were like touching it and like almost caressing it. It was
creepy,
like,
yeah.
what is this thing? It's got to be something. It's got to mean something, right?
It's funny.
Okay, I think that takes care of our questions and predictions for the evening. So we're going to get ready to throw our newbies out of here. Like I mentioned, down below, we do have the link to our Patreon if you want to get involved with that and sign up for our Discord where you can find out truly how unhinged we can truly be. Make sure to check that out. We do have the new Twitter account set up, so make sure to check that out and sign up there as well. And we will see you next time. I have been Blake, and with me has been
Chris,
Emily,
Mike,
Nicole,
and Christopher.
And for those who missed the chat, I did answer one of Christopher's questions earlier about unsolved mysteries and said Cisco's not worried because he has a hologram of Robert Stack around to take care of it.
Thank you for listening to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. You can find all the places to listen to and watch this podcast by searching for Especially the Lies on your podcast app or on YouTube. We want to hear from you, so join the conversation at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review where you are listening to or watching this podcast. Especially the Lies is not affiliated with, and the podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by Paramount or any other owners of the Star Trek copyright. All clips included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respective copyright holders. They are included here for purposes of review, and no infringement is intended.
Why have you brought me here? Show yourselves. What do you want?
The Cisco has returned to us.
He arrives with questions.
There are always questions.
Okay, the newbies are gone.
Whee!
Got some good questions on this, though.
Honestly, one of our better episodes.
That's good. This was
Yeah.
solid. Welcome back to the section where we're going to have some discussions with the prophets and answer our newbies' questions and predictions. Where do we want to start? Emily, where do we want to kick off here?
Well, we can get through the quick answer. Who's following up on the open cases on DS9? Oh.
Still say it's
Nobody.
Robert Stack. They have
Yeah.
a whole hologram built around it. Or
Yeah,
Dixon
Jackson.
Hill. It'll be Dixon Hill.
There you go.
I was gonna say it's like,
Um,
are they forgetting the amount of weird shit that happened on DS9 in season 1? Like,
Right?
everybody just kind of has to go with the flow. And honestly, this is something, if you guys watched Lower Decks,
Oh, yeah.
that I loved about Lower Decks is how they kind of make fun of, they lampoon how ridiculous the life of a Starfleet officer must be. You know,
And that they're like the cleanup ship of it all.
yeah, and it's
Yes.
like, oh, we got another code 342. What's that? Oh, an alien god possessed the lieutenant. Like, happens every other week.
Yeah. Everyone seems to want an answer on what that obelisk does
It's actually
or the
Yeah, them stealing
purpose.
it's actually what causes the Dominion War.
No,
Nobody?
it does come back though. So they talked about how that was from Odo's home planet. That obelisk actually comes back, and it is the Search Part 2. It's on the Founder's planet. So it probably not the same one, but an identical one to it is seen on the Founder's planet in the Search Part 2. So that is a key to Odo's people. It will be seen again. Now, will any of them remember that by the time we get to the Search Part 2? Oh, God, no.
Is it actually relevant in any way, or is it just there as a visual tease?
Visual tease. I mean, it's not relevant to anything, but they are right that it is a relic of Odo's people.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
And then Chris wants to know, do we find out where Odo's from and more about his background? And oh, yes, we do.
Oh, yes, we do. We just mentioned the Search.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and actually, we find
Yes.
out even before that Odo's people are the Founders. And we've mentioned before, by the time we get to the end of this season and we get into the Jem'Hadar and the whole Dominion, it's going to light off pretty soon for them, and they'll figure out who Odo's people are and what they stand for.
Yeah.
And if they think some of the stuff is creepy now, I cannot wait until they see the interactions with Odo and female changeling.
Oh, God, that's so... Oh, that
If
gives
they
me
think some of this
icky-
is cringe, oh, just wait, it's going to get cringier.
I know, because it has incest vibes, and it's so gross.
There's going to be gooing.
Oh, yeah, that's... I can't wait for Jessi's opinion on Odo being missed with Kira.
It really penetrates everything.
Oh, yeah. We got some good coming up. Next
I don't know
week
if they're
should
going
be
to be good.
interesting.
Oh, they will be.
They'll be entertaining for sure.
For somebody. All right, anything else we want to bring up in terms of this episode? I will say Dr. Mora does return, and I think it's going to be interesting when that happens, because it'll be season 5, The Begotten, which is where they find at that point, remember, Odo's become solid. That's his punishment for killing the changeling.
Yeah.
And they find the baby changeling that Odo
Mhm.
tries to teach in ways different than what Dr. Mora did.
Yes.
And Mora shows up. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see what they think of the dynamic of Odo and Dr. Mora there, because it'll also shit, I can't fucking talk. It will shed some more light, there we go, on the relationship dynamic between Dr. Moira and Odo, and I think explain a bit more about why there was that separation.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that he returned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be.
I knew there were less pleasant aspects he brought out. I mean, we got a little bit of a tease in the episode to talk about how he becomes the security. Yeah, the Dr. Moore episode today was considerably lighter than I think everybody was expecting.
Yeah.
Which, that brings up a good point. We talked about the time for, like, how long has Odo been away from and I don't a definitive answer, but I did just want to point out we talked about that, but just also reminding everybody of the fact that in that episode, we see Odo interacting with Gul Dukat and a younger Kira. So at the very least, we know we're not talking about like anything close to a lifespan. It's probably been in the realm of 5 to 10 years. 10 is probably a high number because DS9 takes place almost immediately after the Cardassians bail from Terra.
I think they reference the time of when they go back and Kira was on the shop owner was. I think they tell us how it's been, but I can't remember.
Yeah, it's very possible that it has been stated.
I think they do give us a general time frame.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
have
very
to go back
possible.
and
It's been a while.
Yeah, I was thinking minimum 7 years.
Yeah, I think somewhere in the 7 to 10 is probably.
Okay, yes. The episode I keep referencing. That's
as it said, Mora studied and taught Odo for 7 years during the occupation. I pulled up a thing. And that then he left, so yeah, it doesn't give a definitive.
So it's been a while, but not extremely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there we go. I think that gives us discussion on this one. I think this has been one of our better discussions, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And
we stayed on the rails better.
It did. And I think it's just going to keep getting better as we get with some of the episodes we have coming up. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that our newbies are really going to jump into.
Yeah,
next up is what? Armageddon.
Armageddon game. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
It's a pretty good. Yeah.
I think they'll like it.
I also realized we have the visit to the Mirror Universe coming up in this season. I'm curious to see what they think of that one, especially Intendant Kira.
Yeah, that'll have some comment.
There is definitely gonna be some commentary there when we get to crossover. Hell, Scott might jump back on the podcast for that one. So if you hear any weird crackling in the audio on that one, we know what it is. So, all right. I think that's where we can call this one. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to having you back next week when we discuss Armageddon Game. Until then, I have been Blake, and with me has been
Emily
and Mike.